6.3, double angle formulas. Sine of 2 theta equals 2 sine theta cos theta. Cosine of 2 theta has 3, and the idea is you're supposed to use the appropriate one. So you have cosine squared theta minus sine squared theta, or 2 cosine squared theta minus 1, or 1 minus 2 sine squared theta. Traditionally, they will look pretty obvious as to which one you should use. They kind of lend themselves to it. But I'm telling you, if you ever have a situation where you have triangles and you need to use Pythagorean theorem, this triangle is this one. This is the best way to go. It's the least amount of algebra work to it. Tan of 2 theta, 2 tan over 1 minus tangent squared. But recall from the sum and difference that we did earlier that if we have a situation where we have sine and cosine done, we do not use this formula, we take the shortcut. So we come down here, we have example 1. If sine of theta equals 4/5 in 2, quadrant 2, find exact value. So once again, you either have to use the chart or Pythagorean theorem, you cannot go to your calculator. So the first thing we need to do is draw the triangle in the correct quadrant. So in quadrant 2, so we have a right triangle, box is here, theta is here. 4/5 means we are 4 here, 5 here, -3 underneath. Why is it negative? Common sense. Negative is going this way. So sine of 2 theta. Sine of 2 theta equals, formula from up here, 2 sine theta cos theta. Now just like the other day, when we went through and did these, we figure out how many trig words we have, and that creates the number of parentheses we need. So this 2 becomes 2 over 1. It's kind of like a placeholder so we can do our math. Sine theta makes a parenthesis, cosine theta makes a parenthesis. We then go to the picture and pull off numbers. So sine of theta in this picture, you start at theta, opposite of hypotenuse is 4/5. We go back to that same picture and we find cosine, which is adjacent -3 over 5. Now when we multiply these, we cannot multiply fractions in the Mickey Mouse calculator, as I affectionately call it. We have to multiply across and then across the bottom. So 2 times 4 is 8, times -3 is -24. 1 times 5 is 25. So this is sine 2 theta to that triangle. Cos 2 theta. I said whenever you have to use cos 2 theta with a triangle situation, it is best to use this formula. So cosine squared theta minus sine squared theta. As I have said before, do not like the way that is written. So I'm going to rewrite it with the trig pieces fully inside, in parentheses, squared. So we have cosine of theta in parentheses squared minus sine of theta in parentheses squared. So when we do our substitution, we know that our cosine theta answer is full board number now. We do not carry the trig word anymore. So cos of theta, -3 over 5, in parentheses squared, minus sine of theta, 4 over 5, in parentheses squared. So we wind up with 4/5 in there. So we're then going to do our squaring work. -3 times -3 is 9, 5 times 5 is 25. Minus from the formula, 4 times 4 is 16, over 5 times 5 is 25. We worked hard to get those common denominators, so it stays at 25. 9 minus 16 is -7. So this is the answer to cosine 2 theta. Now because we did sine and cosine, tangent of 2 theta allows us to do the shortcut in this problem. So tangent is always sine, -24 over 25, over cosine, which is -7 over 25. You will see that the brown slash marks get rid of our 25s. We bring them over, we have a negative and a negative, which turns into positive. So we have 24 over 7. Sometimes we're told to find the exact value of something that's expanded. Now you have to ignore this extra junk here. It was supposed to be a degree symbol. I made it much larger. So we have cosine squared of 15 degrees minus sine squared of 15 degrees. So you take this, you go off and you look at your choices. You're looking for a cosine squared minus a sine squared, which is here. We walk back over and see that it came from cosine 2 theta. Theta is going to be the 15 based on position. So we have cos of 2 theta, which equals cosine of 2 times the theta we determined to be 15. Continuing to do math, cos of 30 equals chart, rad 3 over 2. Once again, we have to do some verifying. So verifying the identity, so we're given this one here in the black color. Tan of theta equals sine 2 theta, that's a theta right there, over 1 plus cosine 2 theta. I put in here we have to use an appropriate 1. So we have a positive 1 in this bottom, so we have to use the appropriate 1 for cosine 2 theta. Once again, we have 3 choices. It's not random as to which one we pick. We want to pick the one that's going to make the positive 1 disappear. So we come up here and we see under cosine 2 theta, this middle one has a negative 1 attached. So we're going to take that as a substitution. So my bottom here is the 1 comes down from the formula, plus this is going to be replaced by 2 cosine squared theta minus 1, and my top is sine 2 theta expanded. So you'll notice I crossed off the 1 and the negative 1 because they go away. So I keep my top, 2 sine theta cosine theta, all over 2 cosine squared theta. There's cancellations to be done here as well. The 2's cancel out in the front, and the square on the bottom cancels, and the cosine on the top cancels. So my top leaves me with sine theta, my bottom leaves me with a single cosine, and we know that sine over cosine is tangent. And tangent is what we wanted, so tan equals tan, check mark, it verified. Next, we need to do another verify in the same basic idea scheme. So it's going to say use an appropriate 1 once again. So what we do here is we say verify cosine 2 theta minus 1 over sine 2 theta equals negative tan theta. So cos 2 theta this time needs to get rid of the minus 1. So we're going to pick 1 minus 2 sine squared, because then that is a positive 1. This is a negative 1, so they cross. So we are left with negative 2 sine squared theta over the expansion of 2 sine theta cos theta. Once we're at this point, the 2's go away, but we have to hold on to the negative. And here, the sign on the bottom is gone, and the squared from the sign on the top is gone. So in the top, we are left with a negative sine, and in the bottom, we are left with cosine. So sine over cosine, once again, is tangent, but we have to carry the negative with us. So negative tan theta equals negative tan theta, check mark. We are done at the moment, and then we are going to come back and start our next lesson of 6.1 in a few moments. Where's your father? Get Dad. I don't know where he is. I can't yell for him. Go look.
Is your video still on?
Yes.
Is it Cooper or
Dad.